Hello, welcome to Gmu Today. This is the evening edition. This is Mr. Nick B, your host. Well, apparently Google didn't like what I had to say initially in the beginning, because somehow I automatically got disconnected from my internet. So YouTube and Google are up to those tricks now, huh? Because they didn't disconnect my internet, but they disconnected me from whatever their servers, whatever, because my internet was still on. And I'm still on the same internet I was on, and everything else. This is an old tablet I'm working off of. Everything else has been working fine though. So, key factor, I believe Google and YouTube decided I wasn't to talk about something, and they decided to try to disconnect me from their server. So, let's try this again. We're going to talk about some child abductions in North Fox Island. Okay, here we are. Let's read up from True Crime Diary. Secrets and Lies. Date published 6/14/11. Were it to happen today, the Oakland County child killings would be a leading Nancy Grace obsessed news story. We'd know the victims' names, how many cents the boy had in his pocket when we went to the drugstore for candy and disappeared. The details are ready-made for a media culture ravenous for high drama. Over a 13-month period, 4 white middle-class kids, 2 boys and 2 girls, were abducted, kept alive for several days, and murdered. The killer was dubbed the babysitter because the children showed evidence of having been cleaned and fed their favorite foods. A catchy nickname, but inappropriate in my opinion. I prefer the murderer. The truth is, the case registers very little with the general public. It's only when I encounter people from Detroit of a certain age, especially those who like the victims were 10 or 11 years old in 1976-77, that there's a look of pain recognition, a somber pall at the memory of a boogeyman come to life. That did happen, right? Question mark. A man who grew up in suburban Detroit said to me once, "Why do I feel like I might have imagined it?" Probably because I never talked about it. Oh, probably because it's never talked about, I said. Not only did it happen, but the most recent developments in the long unsolved case are so sensational, so like the broad twists in an amateur paperback mystery that were I to watch the plot unfold in a thriller on cable's ID snort and say, yeah, right. The Oakland County child killings may have remained a vague bad memory, but for a chance conversation between 2 men in Las Vegas in July 2006, Patrick Coffey, a polygraph examiner from California, was given a speech at a polygraph conference. After his presentation, he began talking with Lawrence Wasser, a forensic polygraph examiner from Michigan. Coffey mentioned that he had grown up in Birmingham, Michigan, and that part of the reason he'd gotten into polygraph examination was because his neighbor and friend Tim King had been murdered by the Oakland County child killer. What happened next is in dispute, but Coffey maintained that Wasser, confident something extraordinary 30 years ago, he had conducted an attorney-client privilege polygraph on the killer, who had confessed. Wasser said the suspect, an attorney neither of whom he identified by name, Wasser said the suspect, an attorney neither of whom he had identified by name, were now dead. Coffey was stunned. The case had languished in a black hole for years. After nearly 3 decades, the victim... Okay, YouTube is apparently messing with us on this live connection. I don't believe that was my internet. I believe that's YouTube and or Google deciding I don't need to talk about this bullshit. Alright, this is about North Fox Island, the abductions, and the